Good afternoon. My name is Tawana Kelley, and I am presenting my ethical approach to Hendricks Middle School, a middle school that is located in South Georgia. I am currently in the running to be principal of Hendricks Middle School, and so I thought that's not its actual name, Hendricks Middle School in the Savannah, Georgia area. But I wanted to potentially use this opportunity to kind of formulate what I would do should I be selected as principal to bring it back to establish school improvement. And so, school Hendricks Middle School, like I said before, is in South Georgia, and it has experienced a decline in student achievement progressively over the last 5 years. After the pandemic, the school has experienced a decline in student achievement. And me personally, I honestly believe that most of and whereas you would want to place the blame on the principal, I think it is a larger community at whole. Um, in visiting and going to the school, I noticed there was the sign that greets the community is a older, dilapidated sign. And so what it says to me is that the community at large, the district, the stakeholders, the students, the staff, have all kind of, I think, settled for lower expectations, if that even makes sense. And so there seems to be a lack of urgency. And I think one of the greater issues is the staff not holding students to high expectations. And the fact that everyone has allowed it to persist for so long, um, I am going to work at fostering a culture where stakeholders, all the stakeholders, take ownership of high expectations and support each other to achieve them. Now, as we think about my personal ethical leadership, um, my personal values, as I expounded on earlier this year, or earlier this semester with this class, is grounded in community and thought authenticity, which help tremendously lend themselves to this ethical charge that I'm embarking upon. Um, we need to foster a sense of community, not just around performance, but just getting back to pride. And authenticity is about being true to oneself in all circumstances. And so I think when people converge upon HMS, they aren't tapping into that in order for us to progress for it to be progressed further. And then professionally, I hold equity and growth as core values, because as an institution, if we're not growing, what are we doing? Because the whole premise of having school, as we discussed earlier this year, is for students to acquire knowledge and achieve to their greatest potential. And so with equity, we're making certain that opportunities exist for all students who are there. And so I think when you're talking about equity, community, um, and authenticity and growth, those are perfect entities that will help us build an ethical environment for our scholars. So as I build my leadership team and the ILT instructional leadership team, I will be definitely wanting to ground our work in cooperative group dynamics, constructive debate, comprehensive listening, as expounded on by Johnson in chapter 8, and then making certain that we have shared values around our school improvement plan, or the continuous improvement plan, whichever one we have, but all of them will be improvement plans for the school. But what I most think we need to concern ourselves with, or just make certain that we're highlighting, as highlighted by Johnson, is effective argument. We are not going to agree on everything. We, as a leadership team, and especially those who have been there for a long time, they are going to have perceptions of things. They're going to say, "We've tried that. This didn't work. We Why would we try it again?" All those different things. But when we're talking about making certain that our group dynamics are cooperative and we're having constructive debate. We've got to be able to, like I said, comprehensively listen. And so when I establish the teams and the team, those will be the core elements of our team building for our ethical team. As I broaden that out to making sure we have and shaping an ethical organization, we're definitely going to have to look at structural strategies that involve revising some policies that promote, like I said before, equity, that promote justice and fairness. Because we need to make sure that our day-to-day functions, as Johnson points out in chapter 9, we need to be making certain that these are going on a daily basis for all students. And then when you think about this, for me, I gotta be able to structure this so that teachers aren't so just worried about checking boxes, that they are doing meaningful tasks that build to our ethical organization. And then with Sergio Vani's work in talking about building a community of trust through a covenant. And so I want to emphasize creating a covenant amongst the staff so that we can be committed to the whole student, because I do believe that we need to develop the whole student as well. Now, none of this will happen without challenges. So, the anticipated challenges and systems thinking that I anticipate is going to be, number one, resistance to change. If everyone in this building, you're thinking about it, and I know it's not all stakeholders, but if everyone in the building and everyone in the community has gone along with the status quo, has allowed these systems and things to exist and move on without making significant changes. If I come in talking about change and wanting them, everybody, like the book Move My Cheese, if I'm doing that, I anticipate some resistance to change. Burnout is another concern because they've been doing so much for so long and haven't seen any results. Getting them to change their mindsets and not be weary of that, to be weary of this process, because, okay, you've come along, this person's come along and done this and it didn't work. This person has come along and did this and it didn't work. Now here you come introducing a whole nother set of ideals, and I'm tired. I'm tired of putting this effort forth and not seeing any results. And then finally, the complexity of it all. I anticipate the complexity of it, because it's going to take a long-term planning. It's not going to happen overnight. We are moving a battleship, and it takes time and effort, consistency, tenacity, all those things to move a battleship. And so to address these challenges, I will use systems thinking, recognizing all elements of the school system are interconnected. Our feedback loops will be essential in this process. And we got to make certain that we're continuously gathering data in order to make other decisions while we're doing this. Um, and I am very data driven. I firmly believe in having data driven decision making, and so making certain that we're inspecting what we expect and making changes when we don't get what we expect. So having all those things, making sure we don't get burned out, will be um, part of the plan. And also, like I said before, long term planning, making certain that we, we recognize our small wins in order to continuously move up and up and up with that. So in conclusion, I'm looking to build an ethical organization at HMS. I do hope so much that I get this job and I have this opportunity, and I thank you so much for all the things you've had us think about over the semester that have helped develop me into a better leader. Much appreciated, and continue to do all the good work, Dr. Guy.